I still remember the night my tongue refused to move. I was sitting on my old prayer mat, the same thin mat I had used for more than 30 years. The room was dark except for a small line of light coming from under the door. The house was quiet, but it was not the peaceful quiet of a loving home. It was the heavy silence that comes after angry words, after a door is slammed, after a heart is broken. My knees were hurting, as they always do these days, but I forced myself to sit. I raised my shaking hands toward the ceiling, the way I had done every night since I became a mother. My lips opened, ready to say the same words they had said for so many years. Ya Allah, protect my children. Ya Allah, bless them. Ya Allah, forgive them. But that night, nothing came out. My throat felt dry, like sand. My chest was tight, my eyes were full, but there were no more tears. There was just this one picture in my mind. My eldest son's face twisted with anger, the way he looked at me a few hours earlier, as if I was a stranger dirtying his clean house. His voice still echoed in my ears. Get out of my room, old woman. You always bring problems. You have destroyed enough in my life. Old woman, not mother, not even mama. I tried again to speak. I wanted to say, Ya Allah, forgive him, he does not understand. I wanted to excuse him, like I had always done. I wanted to hold my heart together with the same soft words I had used for years. But the words would not pass my lips. In that moment, a strange thought came to me, a thought I had always feared. What if my dua for them is the reason they are not learning their lesson? What if I am standing between them and the justice of Allah? My hands began to shake. For the first time in my life, I said something different. I whispered, very slowly, Ya Allah, you know what they did to me. You saw everything. I leave them to you. Do with them what is best in your wisdom. I will not ask for anything more for them tonight. That was my last dua for my ungrateful children, or at least, that is what I thought. And from that night, everything began to change. Before I take you back to the beginning of my story, to the small house, the young mother, the 3 little faces sleeping on one mattress, I want to say something. If you are listening to my voice now on Voices of Fatima, and if this story touches even a small part of your heart, please follow the channel, like this video, and share it with others. Maybe it will be a reason someone calls their mother tonight. Tell me in the comments, have you ever seen a parent who gave everything but received only pain from their children? Now, let me go back and tell you how it all started. My name is Fatima. I am 68 years old. When I look at my hands now, with their dark spots and thin skin and blue veins, I see the whole story of my life written there. Every line is a year of work. Every scar is a memory. I was not born in a rich family. Our house was small, the walls were cracked, and in winter, the wind would come inside from under the door and make us all shake. But we had something that money cannot buy. We had a mother who woke us for Fajr with a gentle voice, and a father who, even when he was tired, would sit and read Quran aloud in the evening. The sound of his recitation is the first sound of peace I remember. When I was a girl, I did not dream big dreams. I did not think of traveling the world or becoming famous. My biggest dream was very simple. I wanted a small, clean home, a kind husband who prayed, and children I could raise to love Allah and His Prophet, peace be upon him. I wanted a kitchen where I could make tea in the morning, and a little corner with a prayer mat facing the Qibla and sunlight coming from the window. Life, of course, gave me something different. I was married at 19. My husband, may Allah forgive him, was not a bad man in the way people think of bad men. He did not drink, he did not chase other women, but he had a hard heart and a sharp tongue. he never learned how to be gentle. On our wedding night, when my mother left the room and closed the door behind her, I sat on the bed with my hands in my lap, so nervous my fingers were shaking. My husband looked at me for a long moment and said only one thing. "Listen, Fatima, I did not marry you for love. I married because my mother insisted, do your duties, and we will not have problems." That was the first time I felt something closing inside my chest. But I told myself, be patient. Love can grow. Allah can put love between two hearts, even if it is not there at first. I remembered the verse my mother used to recite about spouses being garments for each other. I told myself, if I am a good garment for him, maybe he will become one for me too. The early years of my marriage were hard. We lived in a tiny apartment above a noisy street. The ceiling would leak when it rained. The walls were so thin, I could hear the neighbors arguing, laughing, even coughing. My husband worked long hours in a small shop. When he came home, he was tired and easily angry. We had our first child, my son Omar, 1 year after the wedding. I still remember the smell of that hospital room's strong antiseptic mixed with baby powder. When the nurse put him in my arms, wrapped in a white blanket, I felt something explode in my heart. This love was different from any love I had ever known. Strong, deep, and pure. I looked at his tiny face, his closed eyes, his little fist, and I began to cry. "Ya Allah," I whispered, "I am just a girl myself. How can I raise this child? Please, help me. Make him better than me. Make him someone who loves you more than this world." From that day, my life had a new center. My children. Omar was followed by another son, Yasin, and then a daughter, Layla, 3 children in 5 years. 3 little mouths to feed, 3 little bodies to dress, 3 little hearts to protect. My days became full from Fajr to night. I would wake before dawn, while everyone was still sleeping. The sky would be dark, and the street outside silent. I would make wudu with cold water that bit my skin and stand on my thin prayer mat, my eyes still heavy with sleep, and whisper my prayers. The house would be quiet, but inside my heart there was always a list. Wash the clothes, cook the food, clean the floor, check Omar's homework, stop Yasin from fighting, brush Layla's hair, go to the market, pay the bills, smile at my husband when he comes home, pretend I am not tired. After Fajr, I would sit for a few minutes with the Quran. My favorite time was when the first light of the morning entered through the small window and fell on the pages. The letters seemed to shine. Sometimes Layla would wake up early, rub her eyes, and come sit next to me, her head on my shoulder. "Mama read to me," she would whisper. I would recite softly, and she would play with the edge of my scarf, half asleep. In those moments, my heart felt full, like a cup filled to the top with sweet tea. We were poor, but we had enough. We ate simple food, lentils, rice, bread, potatoes. Meat was only for Fridays or special days. I sewed clothes from old fabrics. If a neighbor threw away something half broken, I would clean it and fix it and make it useful. My children did not know brands or toys from the television. Their toys were stones, paper, and their own imagination. But they had something many rich children do not have: a mother who sat with them, talked to them, listened to them. At night, when my husband would fall asleep in front of the television, I would gather the children in the Patter's bedroom. I would tell them stories of the prophets, of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Omar liked the stories of bravery, of battles, of strength. Yasin liked the stories of miracles and strange events. Layla liked the stories of mercy and kindness. And what will you be when you grow up? I used to ask them, as they lay side by side on one thin mattress, their eyes half closed. "I will be a doctor, Mama," Omar would say. "I will make a lot of money and buy you a big house." "I will be a teacher," Yasin would say. "I will teach children Quran like you teach us." "I will be just like you, Mama," Layla would whisper. "I will cook and pray and tell stories." Their words would enter my heart like light. I would pull the old blanket over them and kiss each one on the forehead. Before leaving the room, I always did the same thing. I would raise my hands in the dark and make dua. Ya Allah, keep them on the straight path. Ya Allah, give them good health, halal rizq, good spouses, and good hearts. Ya Allah, let them be the coolness of my eyes in this world and the next. Sometimes I would stand there longer, watching them breathe, feeling my heart almost explode with love. It is a strange thing, the love of a mother. It hurts and heals at the same time. But life was not only sweet. My husband became more and more distant as the years passed. He worked hard, but he also became more bitter. When he lost his job at the shop because the owner's nephew needed work, he began to change. He felt humiliated. A man who cannot provide, even if it is not his fault, often turns his pain into anger toward the ones nearest to him. He would come home late, throw his shoes at the corner, and complain about everything. "This food has no taste. Why are the children so noisy? Why is this house always a mess?" It did not matter that I had spent the whole day washing, cooking, cleaning, and taking care of 3 young children. It did not matter that my back hurt and my eyes burned. His pain made him blind. Sometimes, when his anger was very strong, he would say words that cut me deeply. "If it wasn't for you and these children, my life would be different. You are all a burden." I would swallow my tears and stay quiet. I did not want the children to see us fighting. When he fell asleep, I would go to the kitchen, sit on the small stool near the sink, and cry silently into my hands. In those moments, I would talk to Allah. "Ya Allah, you see me," I would whisper. "You see how I try. You see how I am failing. Please, protect my children from this atmosphere. Do not let their hearts become hard. Do not let them hate him. Do not let them hate me. Give me patience. Give me sabr." I believed that if I stayed patient, Allah would reward me through my children. That thought kept me going. When Omar was 10, Yasin 8, and Layla 6, something happened that changed everything. My husband became sick. At first it was just tiredness and coughing. We thought it was a simple flu, but the coughing became worse. He began to lose weight. His face turned pale and his eyes sunken. The hospital room where the doctor told us the truth smelled strongly of medicine and old curtains. The lights were too bright. The doctor spoke in a calm voice, but his words were heavy. "It is cancer," he said. "We can try treatment, but it is late." I remember looking at my husband's face. For the first time since I married him, he looked small to me. Not strong, not angry, just small and afraid. I felt my heart soften. At night, I sat by his bed, changing the cloth on his forehead, giving him water, helping him to the bathroom. His anger was gone now. Pain had burned it away. He held my hand sometimes, his fingers weak. "I am sorry, Fatima," he whispered once in the darkness. I was not a good husband. My throat closed. I wanted to say, "It's okay, I forgive you." But I could not fully lie. So I said the only thing I was sure of. Allah is most forgiving. Ask him, he will forgive you. He died on a cold morning in winter. The sky outside was gray. The call to Fajr was echoing from the mosque when his chest rose, then fell, and did not rise again. Suddenly, I was a widow at 32, with 3 children under 11 and no savings. That day, after the people left and the house became quiet again, I went to the bedroom where my children were huddled together on the bed, their faces swollen from crying. Omar tried to be strong. He wiped his eyes with his sleeve and sat up straight. "Don't worry, Mama," he said. "I will take care of you now. I am the man of the house." His words were like an arrow of hope in my broken heart. I pulled all three of them into my arms. "No, my son," I said softly. "You are still a child. I will take care of you. Allah will take care of us all." From that day, my life entered a new stage. I became mother and father. I became the one who had to find money, make decisions, deal with people outside. I was afraid, but I hid my fear from the children. I began to do small jobs. I cooked food for neighbors' events. I washed clothes for families with more money but less time. I sewed dresses for people who could not afford a tailor. I would sit late into the night, my eyes burning under the weak yellow light bulb, stitching and stitching, while my children slept in the next room. Every coin I earned felt like gold. Sometimes I would open my hands and stare at the skin of my fingers, dry and cracked from soap and needle. I would think, these hands will build a future for my children, insha'Allah. I kept them in school, no matter how hard it was. When Omar finished primary school, his teacher called me one day after class. We sat on two old chairs in a small room that smelled of chalk and dust. "Your son is very intelligent," the teacher said. "He can go far if he studies, but he needs books and maybe extra classes. Can you manage?" I felt both proud and scared. "I will find a way, insha'Allah," I replied. That night I took out my small jewelry box. It did not have much, just a thin gold bracelet and a pair of earrings my mother had given me on my wedding day. I held them in my hand, feeling their smooth coldness. These were my last memories of my own mother, who had passed away a few years earlier. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and said, "Ya Allah, my children are my real jewelry. I give this for them. Please, put barakah in it." I sold the bracelet and the earrings. The money was just enough for Omar's school needs and a little extra to pay an overdue electricity bill. I went home with empty hands, but a strange peace in my heart. As the years went by, this became the story of my life, giving up small comforts so my children could move one step higher. Maybe one less meal for me, but a school book for them. Maybe no new clothes for Eid for me, but new shoes for them. I did it with love. I never felt it was too much. When my back hurt from work, I would say to myself, "These pains will disappear in Jannah, insha'Allah." But the dua of a mother for her children can change their whole destiny. I believed that with all my heart. If someone had told me then, in those long nights of sewing and praying, that one day these same children would call me a burden, that they would raise their voices at me, that they would close doors in my face, I would have said, "No, impossible. My children are not like that." But destiny was already being written, line by line, while I was busy trying to write another story with my own hands. Years passed, as they always do. Children grow the way plants do. One day you are bending over a tiny seedling, watering it gently, protecting it from strong wind. Then one morning you look up and it is taller than you, with branches stretching in directions you never expected. Omar entered his teenage years first, of course. He was always serious, always focused. He loved to sit with his books at the small wooden table by the window. The sun would fall on his face, and his eyebrows would come together when he tried to solve a problem. Sometimes he would bite his lip the way his father used to do. "Mama, can you make some tea?" he would call without looking up. "I will not sleep tonight. I have an exam tomorrow." I would bring him a small glass of tea with mint and watch him for a moment. "Remember to say Bismillah," I would remind him softly. And when you feel nervous, close your eyes and say, Hasbi Allahu wa ni'ma al-wakil, Allah is enough for me. He always nodded, half listening, his mind inside his books. Yasin was different. He was more playful, more social. His teachers sometimes complained. He is smart, they would say, but his mind is always flying somewhere else. If he focused like his brother, he would be top of the class. Layla was quiet but sensitive. She noticed everything. If my eyes were red from crying, she would see it. Even if I smiled and pretended nothing was wrong. She would come and sit close, resting her head on my shoulder without saying a word. That was her way of saying, I am here, Mama. As they grew, my work became harder but also more purposeful. Each time I sewed a dress or washed a basket of clothes for someone else, I would think, this is for Omar's pen, for Yasin's notebook, for Layla's shoes. I rarely bought anything for myself. When Omar finished middle school, his grades were excellent. His teachers encouraged me. He must go to a good secondary school, one of them said. If he continues like this, he can enter university. University. That word sounded big, almost too big for a girl like me who never finished her own schooling. But I held it in my heart like a precious stone. We applied for a government school in the city, a better school than the one in our area. He was accepted. I remember the day we received the letter. The paper was thin, the ink a little faded, but to me it looked like gold. Omar tried to act calm, but I saw the light in his eyes. Mama, he said slowly, if I do well here, I can maybe get a scholarship for university. Insha'Allah, my son, I replied. My hands were shaking as I folded the letter again and again. Allah has opened this door for you. You just walk through with effort and good intention. But going to that better school meant higher expenses, transportation, uniform, extra books. I felt my stomach tighten when I saw the list. Still, I smiled. We will manage, I told him. Do not worry about money. That is my job. I took on more work. I started cleaning the small office of a local businessman early in the morning, before Fajr sometimes. The smell of dust and old paper would fill my nose as I wiped the desks and emptied the trash. I would work quickly, then hurry home to wake the children for school. I felt my body becoming more tired, but I ignored it. My heart had one goal: raise these children so high that they would never feel the humiliation I had felt when my husband lost his job, when we had no money, when people spoke to us as if we were less. Omar changed slowly during those years in the city school. At first, he would come home full of stories. Mama, you know, my classmate's father has 3 cars. Mama, they have computers in every classroom. Mama, the other students speak English so fast. He would laugh, amazed at this new world. I would listen with a smile, happy for him, but also feeling a small distance growing. One evening, I was waiting for him at the bus stop. My clothes were simple as always, a long dark dress, a plain scarf, and an old shawl. I had come straight from cleaning a neighbor's house. My hands smelled of soap and onions. The bus arrived, and I saw Omar step down with a group of boys and girls. They were all wearing the same uniform, but somehow I could see clearly who belonged to which world. Some of them had fancy watches, shiny shoes, confident laughs. I raised my hand to wave. For a second, Omar's eyes met mine. I saw something flash across his face, surprise, then discomfort. He looked quickly at the friends around him, then back at me. His smile was small and forced when he walked over. Mama, I told you I can come home alone, he said quietly, his eyes on the ground. I just wanted to see you. I replied, my heart pinching a little. It is late." His friends passed by behind him. One of them looked at me and then at Omar with a strange half-smile. My face grew hot. On the way home, Omar walked a step ahead of me. He did not talk much. After that day, I noticed he did not like me to come near his school. If I suggested it, he would say, "No need, Mama. It is okay. You are busy. Stay home." I told myself, he is just becoming older. Boys are like that. They feel shy. I refused to let the small pain in my heart grow. My dua for him became even more intense. Ya Allah, do not let pride enter his heart. Ya Allah, keep him humble. Ya Allah, let him remember where he came from. But the world he was entering was stronger than my weak words. When Omar finished secondary school with very high grades, we were all so happy. We made simple sweets at home. Neighbors came to congratulate. Layla danced around the room, clapping her hands. "My brother will be a doctor," she shouted. But Omar had other plans. "I want to study finance," he said. "I want to work in a bank. That is where the money is." I felt a small worry, remembering what our dean says about interest and banks. I tried to speak gently. "My son, be careful," I said. "Not all jobs with money are good jobs. Ask someone who knows more. Ask a sheikh." He frowned. "Mama, this is not the Stone Age," he replied. "Everyone works in banks now. I will not be the only one to stay poor because of old ideas." His words stung, but I stayed quiet. He was so sure of himself. The scholarship people accepted him into a good university in the big city. He packed his clothes in a small suitcase. I folded each shirt carefully, pressing it with my hands as if I was trying to put a blessing inside the fabric. On the day he left, I held his face between my hands. "Whatever happens, remember your Salah," I told him. "Remember your Quran. And remember, no matter how high you go, the ground you stand on is the dua of your mother." He smiled and kissed my hand quickly. "I know, Mama. Don't worry, I will make you proud." Those words would repeat in my mind many times in the years to come, sometimes like a promise, sometimes like a joke. While Omar was busy with university, Yasin finished school and began to look for work. He did not want to study more. "I am not like him," he said, jerking his chin in the direction of Omar's empty room. "I do not like books. I want to make money now." He found work in a small shop, then left it. He tried driving a taxi, then stopped. He worked in a cousin's workshop for a while, then quit. "I do not like people telling me what to do," he complained. "I want to be my own boss." His restlessness worried me, but he was kind-hearted. He would still sit with me sometimes in the evening, peeling potatoes in the kitchen, telling me stories of the street, making me laugh with his jokes. When he noticed my tiredness, he would sometimes massage my shoulders. "You are working too much, Mama," he would say. "One day I will be rich and you will rest." Layla grew into a beautiful young woman, not the kind of beauty that makes people stare in the street, but a soft, gentle beauty. She helped me a lot in the house. She wanted to study nursing. "To help people, Mama," she said, her eyes shining. "Imagine being there when someone is sick or in pain and you can bring them comfort. Isn't that beautiful?" "Yes, my daughter," I replied, feeling both proud and afraid. "But nursing is long hours, hard work." She smiled. "You taught me how to work hard, Mama. I can do it." We found a local nursing course that was not too expensive. Again, I tightened my belt, took more work, and said, "Insha'Allah." Motherhood, I realized, is like holding 3 ropes at the same time, each one pulling in a different direction. You try to keep them from tangling, from breaking, from pulling you apart. The first real crack in my dreams came quietly. One day, during Omar's second year at university, he came home for a short visit. He looked different. His hair was styled in a new way, his clothes modern and expensive looking. There was a new smell on him too, some kind of strong perfume. At dinner, he barely touched the simple lentil soup and bread I had prepared. "We always eat like this?" he asked, almost to himself. I felt a sting of shame. "This is what we have today," I replied. "Tomorrow I can cook something special if you tell me what you like." He shrugged. "It's okay," he said, but his eyes were somewhere else. Later that evening, his phone rang. He answered quickly, his voice soft and different. Yeah, I'm here now. No, village. Yeah, boring. I know. I miss you too." I was in the next room, pretending to fold clothes, but I heard everything. A part of me wanted to walk away, to respect his privacy. Another part of me froze. "Who was that?" I asked gently when he finished. "Just a friend," he replied too fast. "From university." "A boy or a girl?" I asked. He frowned. "Mama, please, I am not a child. Don't start." My heart squeezed. In my world, boys and girls did not talk in this way, but his world was different. I went to my prayer mat that night with a heavy chest. "Ya Allah," I whispered, tears falling quietly. "Allah, protect him from fitna. Protect his heart, his eyes, his steps. Bring him back to you if he is moving away." I did not know then how far he would move from me too. The next few years are like a mixture of sweet and bitter in my memory. Omar finished his degree with good grades and found a job in a bank in the city. He began to earn good money. At first, he used to send some each month. "Mama, this is for you," he would say on the phone. "Buy something nice. Don't always save." I would smile, put most of it away for bills, and maybe buy a small thing, a new scarf, fresh fruit, a chicken, instead of only lentils. Yasin, after many small jobs, decided to go to the Gulf to work with a friend. He needed money for the ticket and paperwork. He came to me one night, his eyes shining with hope. "If I go there, Mama, I can earn in 1 month what I earn here in 6, he said. "Then I can send you money. I can pay for Layla's studies. We can fix the house." I looked at him, my heart full of mixed feelings. I did not want him to go so far, but I also knew opportunities were small here. "I have a little saved," I said. "And there is your father's old watch. We can sell it. I think it will be enough." He hugged me tightly. "You are the best, Mama," he whispered into my neck. "I will not forget this." Layla finished her nursing course and began working in a small clinic. She would come home exhausted, her shoulders sagging, but her eyes still bright. "Today a baby was born," she would tell me sometimes, washing her hands at the sink. "He was so tiny. Mama." The mother was crying with joy. "It made me think of you." Other days, she would say, her voice sad, "We lost someone today, Mama. Death is so close, all the time. It makes me think how short this life is." We would sit together, drinking tea late at night, our hearts close. For a while, I thought maybe, just maybe, things were going in a good direction. My sons had work, my daughter had a job, our home, though still old and cracked, was warm with laughter when they all visited. But the seed of something dark had already been planted. Omar called one day with a serious tone. "Mama, I need to talk to you about something important," he said. "I am getting engaged." My heart jumped with happiness. "Alhamdulillah," I exclaimed. "Who is the girl? From where? Does she pray? Is she kind?" He hesitated. "Her name is Sarah," he said. "She is from a good, educated family. Her father is a businessman. We know each other from the bank." I felt a strange tightening in my chest when I heard that. We know each other from the bank is not the way I imagined my son meeting his future wife. But I swallowed my worries. Does she wear hijab? I asked quietly. Mama, please, he said, a hint of annoyance in his voice. She is a good person. She's modern, but she respects religion. Don't start with your old-fashioned questions. Old-fashioned. That word again. I stayed silent for a moment, feeling my heart sink. I only want you to have a wife who helps you go to Jannah, not one who pulls you away, I said softly. He sighed loudly. Can't you just be happy for me? He snapped. Other mothers would be celebrating. I am marrying into a good family. This will raise all of us. People will finally respect us. Ah, there it was. The word that controls so many lives. Respect, or what people think is respect. I am happy, my son, I said, forcing my voice to be warm. May Allah put barakah in your marriage. When can I meet her? He explained that her family wanted to visit us. I cleaned the house from top to bottom. Layla and I washed the curtains, scrubbed the floor, polished the few pieces of old furniture we had. I borrowed some nicer plates from a neighbor. I cooked my best dishes, the ones everyone liked. Stuffed grape leaves, rice with chicken, salad with fresh lemon. I also took out my nicest clothes, an old dress I had kept from my younger days, and a black abaya I used only on Eid. I ironed my scarf, my hands trembling. When they arrived, the difference between our worlds was painful. Sarah stepped into our old living room with careful feet, as if she was afraid to touch anything. She wore a stylish dress and light makeup. Her hair was uncovered, shining. Her mother was dripping with gold jewelry, her perfume filling the air. Her father spoke loudly on his phone, even as he greeted me with a quick nod. They looked around the small room at the copper, cracked wall, the old rug, the low ceiling, and I saw something in their eyes that made my chest burn, pity mixed with judgment. I greeted Sarah with a smile and a warm hug. Her body was stiff in my arms. Welcome, my daughter, I said. Insha'Allah, you will bring light to Omar's life. She smiled politely. Thank you, Auntie, she replied. Her accent was different, more polished, the way rich people speak. During the visit, Omar looked divided. One part of him sat close to Sarah, laughing with her family, trying to impress them. The other part kept glancing at me, as if to check how I was acting, if I was embarrassing him. At one point, I heard Sarah's mother say quietly to my son, thinking I could not hear, "We will help you move to a nicer area after the marriage. This place is very simple. You cannot bring our daughter here." Her words cut me like a knife. My face burned. I pretended not to hear, but inside something broke. The wedding day came. I wore a new abaya, bought with money I had saved slowly, coin by coin. Layla did my makeup in a soft way. When I looked in the mirror, I saw an older woman trying to look proper in a world that no longer fit her. At the wedding hall, there were lights, loud music, cameras, and many people I did not know. The bride's family occupied most of the tables. They were loud, confident, shining with wealth. My small group, Layla, some neighbors, 2 distant cousins, sat in one corner, feeling out of place. When Omar and Sarah entered, everyone clapped. They looked beautiful together. I cannot deny it. But when Omar's eyes met mine across the hall, I did not see the boy who used to say, "I will buy you a big house, Mama." I saw a man who wanted to cross a bridge and never look back at the old shore he came from. Later, during the men's part, someone told me that Omar had gently asked a cousin to sit with my mother so she doesn't feel lost. I smiled on the outside, but inside I thought, I am the one who built the ground you are standing on, my son. How quickly you forget. After the marriage, Omar moved into a modern apartment in the city, close to his work. At first, he would call often. "Mama, how are you? Mama, do you need anything? Mama, when will you come visit?" I would say, "I am fine, Alhamdulillah. Take care of your wife. May Allah bless your home." I visited them a few times. The first time, I wore my nicest clothes, took a small gift for Sarah, a set of tea glasses I had bought with Layla's help. Their apartment was like the ones I had only seen in magazines. White walls, shiny floor, new furniture. The smell of expensive perfume and cleaning products filled the air. I felt as if I was stepping into a picture where I did not belong. Sarah greeted me with a polite smile. There was kindness somewhere in her. I could feel it sometimes, but there was also something else. Pride, maybe fear of what people would say if her friends saw her poor mother-in-law. "Mama, please, next time call before you come," she said once. "Sometimes I have friends over. You know, it's awkward." I nodded, my heart squeezing. "Yes, of course," I replied. "I do not want to disturb anyone." Omar, caught between us, would sometimes say, "She doesn't mean it, Mama. It's just different lifestyle." Don't be sensitive. Different lifestyle. Another way of saying, you are from the old world. Time passed. Yasin went to the Gulf. At first, he called often, sending pictures from his phone, him in a uniform, him in front of tall buildings, him on the beach with friends. He sent some money too, though not as much as he had promised. "Mama, it is expensive here," he would say when I asked gently. "I will send more when I can." Layla's in-laws began to ask for her hand in marriage around this time. A man from a nearby town proposed. He was a driver, simple but steady. His family seemed traditional. They were not rich, but they were stable. I hesitated, because she was my last one at home, my only daily companion. "Mama, I will not go far," Layla whispered one night, holding my hand. "And you will not be alone. You have Omar and Yasin. They are men now. They will take care of you." I smiled weakly and agreed to the marriage. I told myself, this is life. Children must leave. I cannot hold them in my hands forever. But I did not know then how empty those same hands would feel later. After Layla married and moved, the house became very quiet. Too quiet. The mornings were long, the evenings longer. I would clean the same corner twice just to feel busy. I would cook and then end up eating alone, the sound of my spoon against the plate echoing in the small room. I waited for calls. Sometimes the phone stayed silent for days. Omar and Sarah had their first child, a little boy. I was overjoyed. A grandchild, a new chance to love. When I visited, I held him close, breathing in his soft baby smell. It took me back to the days when Omar himself was small in my arms, his fist holding my finger. "Ya Allah," I whispered as I rocked the baby gently. "Let him be a comfort to his parents, and let them be kind to him, and let him not forget his grandmother when he grows." I did not know that this child would also one day look away from me. Around this time, my health began to weaken. My back pain grew worse. I felt dizzy sometimes when I stood too fast. The doctor at the clinic where Layla worked checked my blood pressure and shook his head. "You must rest more," he said. "You are not young." I laughed sadly. "Rest? What is that?" I replied. Still, I tried to take it easy. I accepted fewer cleaning jobs. I relied more on the small widow's pension from the government. It was not much, but it covered the basics. Then Yasin called one evening, his voice tense. "Mama, I need money," he said without greeting. "I am in trouble." My heart dropped. "What happened, my son?" I asked. He sighed. I got involved with some people here. Business deal. It went bad. I owe money. If I don't pay soon, they will. It will be bad. His words were like cold water on my skin. How much? I asked quietly. He said an amount that made my head spin. I don't have that, I said honestly. You know that. You have the house, he said quickly. You can put it as guarantee for a loan. Or talk to Omar. He has a good salary. I felt my chest tighten. The house is our only shelter, I said. If something happens and we cannot pay back. Mama, you don't understand, he interrupted, his voice rising. These are not good people. Do you want them to hurt me? Do you want your son to end up in prison? Or worse? His words were heavy, full of fear and blame. The thought of my son in danger made my whole body shake. I will talk to Omar, I said at last. We will see what we can do. Insha'Allah, there will be a way. I hung up and my hands were trembling so much I could barely hold the phone. When I told Omar about Yasin's situation, his reaction surprised me. Again, problems because of him, he said coldly. He is always like this. He never thinks. But he is your brother, I said. We must help him, Omar sighed. I can maybe help a little, he said. But I also have my own life, my own family. My money is not endless. He paused, then added, there is one thing we can do. If we put the house in my name, I can use it to get a loan with a lower interest, a better deal. The word interest pricked my ears, but my mind was too full of Yasin's fear. The house, in your name? I repeated slowly. It will still be for you, he said quickly. I am your son. What is mine is yours. It is just a paper, Mama, a legal thing. Trust me, trust. That word sat between us like a test. I had never signed any big paper in my life. I could barely write my name. Omar knew about these things. I did not. He was the educated one, the bank man, the one who spoke with confident words. I looked at him, at the face I had kissed 1,000 times when he was small. I trust you, I said softly. If you say it is good, I will do it. But remember, this house is not just walls. It is our story. It holds all our memories. He nodded, looking a little uncomfortable. I know, Mama, he said. Don't worry. A week later, he took me to an office in the city. The room smelled of ink and old paper. There was a man behind a desk, wearing glasses, speaking fast. He put some papers in front of me, full of printed words I could not understand. Sign here and here, he said, pointing. My hand shook as I held the pen. For a brief second, a voice inside me whispered, Do you know what you are doing? But I pushed it away. This is for my son, I told myself. This is to save my other son. Allah is watching. He will not let this turn bad. I signed where they told me to sign. I walked out of that office feeling both lighter and heavier at the same time. Lighter because I believed I had saved Yasin. He called a few days later to say the problem was handled, alhamdulillah. He did not give details. He sounded distracted. He did not thank me properly. He did not ask what we had to sacrifice for him. Time passed. I waited for the loan to be paid back, for the house papers to be reversed to my name. No one mentioned it. I was too shy to ask. I did not want to sound greedy. They were my sons, after all. What difference did a name on paper make in front of the bond of blood? I was naive. The first real shock came one afternoon when a stranger knocked on my door. He was a man in his 40s, well-dressed, carrying a folder. Assalamu alaikum, he said. Is this Omar's house? This is mine, I replied slowly. Omar is my son. He does not live here. What do you want? He looked at a paper. According to this property belongs to Mr. Omar now, he said. My ears rang. My legs felt weak. There must be a mistake, I said, my voice shaking. This is my home. I have lived here for more than 20 years. He explained, in calm words that felt like knives, that the house had been used as security for a loan, that there was late payment, that there might be legal action. I felt as if the ground was shaking. My tongue went dry. When Omar arrived later that day, after I called him in a panic, his face was tight. Mama, why did you talk to him? He snapped. You don't understand these things. My eyes filled with tears. You put the house in your name, I whispered. You used it for a loan. You did not tell me. You said it was just a paper. He looked away. I had no choice, he said. You wanted to help Yasin, remember? And now I also needed money for the business. Life is expensive. You think money grows on trees? His words stung. So, this house, I said slowly, each word heavy, is no longer mine. He hesitated for a moment, then said, Legally, it is in my name, yes, but don't talk like that. You can live here. No one will throw you out, as long as we manage the situation. I am your son. I will not leave you in the street, as long as we manage the situation. Those words echoed in my mind for days. From that day, something changed inside me. I began to see that sometimes children do not become your safety. They become another test. The events that led to my last dua did not happen in one day. They came like waves. One small wave, then a bigger one, then a storm. Not long after the issue of the house, my health took a sharper turn. One night, I woke up to go to the bathroom, and my legs simply refused to hold me. I fell hard on the floor. A sharp pain shot through my hip. I lay there, unable to move, the coldness of the tiles seeping into my bones. The room was dark. I tried to call out, but there was no one. For the first time, I felt very truly alone. It took me almost an hour to pull myself slowly to the bed, inch by inch, biting my lip to stop myself from screaming. The next morning, Layla came and took me to the clinic. The X-ray showed a small fracture. You must rest, Auntie, the doctor said. You cannot live alone like this. What if something worse happens? His words were practical, but to me, they were heavy. You cannot live alone meant you must depend on someone else. Layla spoke gently. Mama, you should stay with one of us, she said. At least for a while, maybe with Omar. His house has an elevator, mine has stairs. Yasin is still abroad. Come, I will talk to them. I nodded slowly. A part of me resisted. This house, with its cracks and old smells, was my home. Every corner held a memory. But another part of me knew I had no choice. Omar agreed, but not with full heart. I heard it in his voice over the phone. Okay. She can stay for some time, he said to Layla. But talk to Sarah first. You know how she is about the house being crowded. When I arrived at Omar's apartment with a small suitcase and my prayer mat rolled under my arm, Sarah's smile was polite but tight. Of course, Auntie, you are welcome, she said. We will put a bed for you in the small room. The small room was more like a storage space. There was a window, but it was high, giving only a slice of gray sky. They moved some boxes and put an old mattress on the floor. There was barely space to walk around it. I told myself, be grateful. At least you are with family. At least you are not alone. At first, it was okay. I helped where I could. I picked up the toys of my grandchildren, made simple food, folded laundry while sitting because my hip still hurt. I tried to be invisible when Sarah's friends came, staying in my small room, doing tasbih quietly. But slowly, the atmosphere grew heavy. I heard the whispers at night when they thought I was asleep. "We have no privacy," Sarah complained. "Your mother is always here, always watching. I cannot relax in my own house." "She is my mother," Omar would reply, his voice low. "Where should she go?" "There are places," Sarah said. "Good old age homes, professional care. My cousin's grandmother is in one. She says it's very nice, an old age home." The word made my skin crawl. Another time, I heard Sarah on the phone with someone. "Yes, she is still here," she said, sighing loudly. "She cannot stay in her old house anymore. It might be sold, and we are the ones who have to deal with everything." Believe me, if I had known I was marrying a whole family, I would have thought twice. Each sentence was like a nail. During the day, tension would show in small ways. If I cooked something, Sarah would say, "Too much oil, Auntie, we don't eat like this." If I hung the laundry a certain way, she would redo it silently, her lips pressed tight. If I sat too long in the living room, watching the children's cartoons with my grandson, she would appear suddenly with a cloth and start wiping things, as if my presence had made the room dirty. Once, when I went to make wudu, some water splashed on the bathroom floor. She slipped a little when she walked in after me. "Auntie, please be careful," she snapped. "What if I fall? What if the children fall? We cannot have accidents because you are not steady." I apologized, my face burning with shame. Omar, caught between his wife and his mother, began to change too. His visits to my small room became shorter. His kisses on my forehead became quick, distracted. Sometimes, when he came home from work and found something not to his liking, noise, mess, a crying child, he would look around for someone to blame. Often, his eyes landed on me. "Mama, can't you keep them quiet?" he would say in a tired voice. I had a long day. I would feel my throat close. These same hands that now struggled to calm noisy grandchildren had once rocked him to sleep when he cried from a small fever. But he did not remember that on those days. Then came the incident that lit the fire. One afternoon, Sarah had some friends coming over. She had spent the morning cleaning and arranging the apartment, spraying air freshener everywhere. The smell of artificial flowers filled my nose, making my head ache. "Auntie, please, today can you stay in your room?" she asked, trying to sound sweet. "My friends they are not used to older people around. They just want to relax, you know." Older people around, as if I was an old sofa, ruining the decoration. I looked at her for a long second, then nodded. "Of course," I said softly. "I will stay out of the way." I went to my small room and sat on the mattress. Through the thin wall, I could hear the laughter and music in the living room. My grandson ran into my room at one point, his small feet pattering on the floor. "Teta, why are you sitting here?" he asked, using the affectionate word for grandmother. "Come watch with us." Before I could answer, Sarah's voice came from behind him. "Come here," she said sharply, pulling him away. "Your grandmother is tired. Let her rest." The boy looked back at me, confused. I forced a smile and waved. Later that evening, when the guests left and the house was finally quiet, I stepped out to get a glass of water. My hip hurt. I moved slowly. Omar was in his room, the door half open. I heard Sarah's voice, low but intense. "I cannot live like this anymore, Omar," she said. "Your mother is always here. I feel like a guest in my own home. My friends ask me why I have no privacy. They laugh behind my back, saying I live with an old village woman." My heart clenched at those words. "Don't exaggerate," Omar replied. "She mostly stays in her room." "That's not the point," Sarah snapped. Her presence is heavy. Her way of talking, her clothes, her smell of old spices and cheap soap. I am tired. Either you find another solution, or I don't know how long I can continue like this. There was a long silence. I held my breath, my back pressed against the wall in the hallway, invisible. When Omar spoke again, his voice was different, harder. "What do you want me to do?" he said. "Throw her in the street?" "There are homes," Sarah insisted, "paid, clean. She will have people her age to talk to. Isn't that better than being stuck in a small room here?" "People will talk," he said weakly. "People already talk," she replied. "They say you are weak, always listening to your mother. Is that what you want our children to see? A father who cannot make his own decisions?" Another long silence. Then Omar said the words that froze my whole body. Maybe she should go back to her house," he said slowly. "We can manage the loan somehow. Or sell it, rent a cheaper place for her. Something. But this cannot continue. Sell it, rent a cheaper place. For her. As if I was a piece of furniture to be moved around." A sound escaped my throat, a small, involuntary gasp. Omar heard it. The door opened fully. Our eyes met across the hallway. "Mama," he said, his face draining of color. "How long have you been there?" "Long enough," I replied, my voice barely a whisper. Sarah stood, behind him, looking embarrassed, but also defensive. "Auntie, please, don't misunderstand," she said quickly. "We were just discussing options. For your comfort, you know? For everyone's comfort." I felt something inside me snap. Not loudly, not dramatically. It was like the soft sound of a thread breaking. "I am tired," I said quietly. "We will talk tomorrow." I went back to my small room. My hands were cold. My chest felt heavy, as if someone was sitting on it. That night, as everyone slept, I could not close my eyes. Memories came to me like a flood. Omar as a baby in my arms, his first steps across our old living room, his excited face when he got his school results, his words, "I will buy you a big house." Mama. I saw younger me, standing in front of hot stoves, washing mountains of clothes, sewing late into the night by dim light, so he could go to school, so he could have the life he now had. And here I was, in a windowless storage room, being discussed like a problem. Tears flowed quietly down my cheeks. I reached for my prayer mat, spread it on the small space next to the mattress, and made wudu with the little water I had in a bottle. I stood to pray. My hip hurt, but I forced myself to remain standing as long as I could. In sujud, my forehead pressed to the mat. I felt closer to Allah than to any human being in my life. After finishing, I sat and raised my hands. This was the moment from the beginning of my story. But now I will tell you what happened inside my heart more clearly. For years, decades, in fact, my dua after every prayer had been the same, almost like a song my soul knew by heart. Ya Allah, protect my children. Ya Allah, bless their rizq. Ya Allah, forgive their sins. Ya Allah, guide them. Ya Allah, let them never taste hunger, fear, or humiliation. Even when they hurt me with careless words, even when they forgot to call, even when I felt alone, my dua for them stayed soft. Maybe they are tired, I would say to myself. Maybe they are stressed. They don't mean it. They are still my children. But that night, when I opened my mouth to say, Ya Allah, protect my children, nothing came out. My throat was dry. My tongue felt heavy. My heart said, enough. Instead, words I had never spoken before came to my lips. Ya Allah, I whispered, my voice shaking. You see me. You saw me when I was young and full of hope. You saw me when I worked with these hands until they cracked. You saw me when I cried silently in the kitchen so my children would not see my tears. You saw me when I signed away my house, trusting my son, because I believed he would never harm me. You saw everything. My hands trembled in the air. You also see them, I continued, my chest tight. You see how they speak to me, how they look at me, how they plan my place in their lives like I am a piece of furniture. You hear the words they say when they think I am not listening. You know what is in their hearts, even when I do not. I paused, trying to control my breathing. A part of me was afraid of what I might say next. A mother's tongue is dangerous. It can be a door to mercy, or a door to disaster. All my life, I said slowly, I have stood between them and your justice. When they were wrong, I asked you to forgive them. When they were lazy, I asked you to still bless them. When they caused pain, I asked you to give me patience and to give them happiness. I thought this was my job as a mother. A tear rolled down my chin. But now, Ya Allah, I am tired, I am weak, I have nothing left to give. My heart is broken, and I do not know how to fix it. For the first time, I feel that maybe my dua is covering them from the lessons they must learn. My voice became a whisper. So, Ya Allah, tonight, I let go. I release them from under the shade of my dua. I put them fully in your hands. You are the most just, the most wise. Do with them what you know is best. If they need ease, give them ease. If they need hardship to wake up, give them hardship. If they need to taste loneliness to understand mine, let them taste it. I will no longer ask you to protect them from the results of their own actions. I paused, my heart pounding. These were heavy words. I was not cursing them, I was too afraid of Allah for that. But I was stepping aside, moving my weak body away from the path of Allah's qadr. I do not ask for their harm, I continued quickly, afraid of my own courage. But I do not stand in the way of your justice anymore. I will not say, Ya Allah, make them happy no matter what they do. I will say only, Ya Allah, be just with them, be merciful if they turn back, and be severe if they continue in their arrogance. My hands dropped to my knees. I felt empty and full at the same time, empty of excuses, full of a strange quiet. That was the night of my last dua for my ungrateful children, at least as I had always made dua for them before. In that moment, a painful truth settled in my heart like a stone. My children are not mine, I realized. They belong to Allah. I was just trusted with their childhood. I tried my best, and I made mistakes. They grew into people with their own choices. I am not responsible for those choices anymore. I am only responsible for what I do with my own pain. I wept for a long time, my back against the cold wall, my prayer mat under me, the sounds of the city faint through the small window. Somewhere in the middle of the night, I made another quiet decision. I will not stay where I am not wanted, I told myself, even if it means returning to an empty house or to nothing at all. I would rather be alone with Allah than humiliated with people who carry my blood, but not my love. That decision and that dua opened a door to events I could never have imagined. The morning after that long night of tears and dua, I sat on the edge of the thin mattress in that small room and waited for the call to Fajr. My eyes were burning, but my heart felt strangely calm. Not happy, not at peace yet, but calm in a tired way. Like a person who has been fighting the waves for years and suddenly stops moving, letting the water carry her wherever Allah wants. When the adhan echoed softly from a distant mosque, its familiar words washed over me. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. I prayed slowly, every movement heavy but deliberate. I did not rush my sujood. My forehead pressed deep into the prayer mat. I stayed there longer than usual. After the prayer, I did not raise my hands in the old way. No long list. No names of my children repeated again and again. I just said one simple line. Ya Allah, arrange my affairs in the best way and protect my heart from hating anyone. Then I stood up, holding onto the wall, and began to pack my few things. I folded my 2 dresses, my spare scarf, my small Quran. I rolled my prayer mat with care. My fingers brushed the worn fabric, remembering all the years it had rested on old floors, on cold tiles, on thin carpets. Everywhere I went in life, this mat went with me. It was the one place nobody could push me away from. There was a knock on the door. "Mama, are you awake?" It was Omar. "Yes," I answered. "Come in." He stepped into the small room, looking uncomfortable. His eyes were red, as if he had not slept much either. He glanced at the little suitcase and the folded mat. "What are you doing?" he asked. "I am going home," I said simply. He frowned. "Mama, don't be dramatic," he said. "We were just talking last night. You heard only part of the conversation." "I heard enough," I replied, my voice calm. "I heard that my presence is heavy, that you are thinking of putting me in a place with strangers, that my clothes, my smell, my way of living embarrass your wife, and maybe you too." He opened his mouth to speak, then closed it. The excuses died on his tongue. I went on. "Listen, my son," I said quietly. "I carried you in my body for 9 months. I carried you in my arms for years. I carried you in my heart for a lifetime. I am not angry with you, but I will not stay where I am, discussed like a problem." He shifted from foot to foot. "You know I would never throw you in the street," he said. "You can stay here. I will talk to Sarah. She was just stressed." "I have ears," I replied gently. "I know the difference between stress and truth." He looked away. His shoulders sagged. "Mama, how will you manage alone?" he asked at last. I smiled a little. "I have always managed alone," I said. "Since your father died, who was really with me? Only Allah. He will not leave me now, in my old age. Take me back to my house. After that, I leave the rest to him." He hesitated, but in the end, he agreed. Maybe he thought I would change my mind after a few days. Maybe he thought I was only hurt and would soften. He did not know that something had shifted deep inside me. We drove in silence. As the car moved through the busy streets, my eyes watched the city. Tall buildings, bright signs, noisy traffic. All these things people run after, all this metal and glass and light, it will all return to dust one day. Only deeds will remain. We reached the old neighborhood. When I stepped out of the car and smelled the familiar dust, the old bread from the bakery on the corner, the faint scent of fried onions from a neighbor's kitchen, my heart clenched with a mix of pain and comfort. The building looked even more tired than before. The paint was peeling, the stairs were cracked, but it was my place. My years were in these walls. We climbed the stairs slowly. My hip hurt with every step, but I took it as a small price for freedom. Inside, the house was just as I had left it. The thin curtains, the old rug, the little table by the window. Dust had gathered on some surfaces, but it was a quiet, harmless dust, not the sharp tongue of a human being. Omar looked around, his face unreadable. "Mama, at least let me fix a few things," he said. "We can paint, change the windows, do some work." I shook my head. "First, fix your heart, my son," I said softly. "Then we can think of walls and windows." He winced a little at my words. For a moment, I saw the boy he used to be, the one who would cry when I spoke firmly. Then he straightened his back, putting his adult mask on again. "Call me if you need anything," he said quickly. "I will try to come on the weekend." "I will be fine," I replied. "May Allah protect you." He kissed my head and left. When the door closed behind him, the silence wrapped around me like a blanket. I stood in the middle of the small living room, holding my prayer mat to my chest, looking at the empty space. A part of me wanted to collapse and cry until there were no tears left. Another part of me felt strangely light. No one here is annoyed by my presence, I thought. No one rolls their eyes when I cough. No one thinks I am a burden. I placed my prayer mat in its old corner, facing the Qibla. Sunlight came through the window and fell on it, just like in my younger days when the children would play at my feet as I recited Quran. I sat down and took a deep breath. This is my world now, I told myself. Just me, Allah, and the memories. The first days were hard. My body was still weak. Simple tasks like cooking or sweeping tired me quickly. Sometimes I would sit on a chair in the kitchen, holding a potato in my hand, and stare at the cracked wall for a long time, feeling tears behind my eyes. But I refused to drown in self-pity. I repeated to myself, Allah sees you, Allah hears you, Allah is with the broken hearts. I started going to the neighborhood mosque when I could manage the walk. It was a small mosque, mostly older women in the women's section. They welcomed me with gentle smiles. "Where have you been, sister?" one of them asked. "We did not see you for a long time." "Life took me far," I replied, "but now I am back." I began to attend a simple Quran circle once a week. We would sit on worn carpets, our backs hurting, our voices trembling as we tried to recite. Some of the women could not read well, some could not see well, but we tried. We corrected each other gently. Sometimes we cried over a verse that touched us. Those hours became a source of strength for me. They reminded me that I was not only someone's mother or someone's burden. I was a servant of Allah, with my own direct connection to Him. My children visited less than I expected. Layla came the most. She would arrive with a small bag of groceries or some cooked food, her scarf slightly crooked from rushing, her face full of concern. "Mama, how are you?" she would ask, kissing my hands. "Why are you so pale? Are you eating well?" We would sit and talk. She would cry sometimes, blaming herself. "I should have spoken louder when they put the house in Omar's name," she said once, tears sliding down her cheeks. I felt something was wrong, but I stayed quiet. "I did not protect you enough." I wiped her tears with my old fingers. "You were young," I told her. "And you were also afraid. We all make mistakes. Allah is the one who never makes mistakes." She squeezed my hand. "I will not leave you, Mama," she whispered. "Whatever happens, you have me." Her words were like warm tea in a cold night. Yasin called from the Gulf sometimes. His calls were short, his voice rushed. "How are you, Mama? Are you okay?" "Okay, good. I am busy. I will send money soon." Some months he sent something, some months he did not. I stopped asking. As for Omar, he came, once a week at first, then once every 2 weeks, then once a month, always with a reason. "Work is busy, Mama. The kids are sick, Mama. The car had a problem, Mama." I listened and nodded. Inside, I felt a growing distance, not just of roads and schedules, but of hearts. One afternoon, about 6 months after I returned to my old house, there was a loud knock on the door. It was not the gentle knock of Layla, nor the quick tap of Omar's usual visit. It was urgent, almost desperate. I opened the door slowly. Omar stood there, his face pale, his hair messy, his eyes wild. "Mama," he said, almost breathless, "I need to talk." He walked straight in and sank onto the old sofa. He buried his face in his hands. His shoulders began to shake. For a moment I stood there, watching my grown son cry like a child. My heart, no matter how hurt it had been, could not stay hard. I sat opposite him, my hands folded in my lap. "What happened?" I asked quietly. He looked up, his eyes red. "It's all gone," he said. "Everything. My job, the apartment, Sarah." The words came out in broken pieces. The bank where he worked had been involved in some illegal activities. There was an investigation. Some people above him were arrested, others were fired. His name was not clean, even if he was not the main person. He lost his job. "I gave years of my life to that place," he said bitterly. "I did what they told me. I closed my eyes when I should have spoken. I opened doors I should have shut. And now, when there is trouble, they throw me out like garbage." He laughed, a hollow, painful sound. "The in-laws who were so proud of me. Now they look at me like I am dirt," he said. "Sarah cannot stand this life. She went back to her parents with the children. She says she needs stability and a man who can protect her lifestyle." He spat the last word. "Lifestyle," he repeated. "That's all I was to Bree. Her a bank card." My heart twisted. I did not hate Sarah. I knew she was also a child of this world, raised with ideas of status and comfort, but in that moment I felt the sharp edge of her choices cutting my son. "And the house?" I asked quietly, though I was almost afraid to hear. He looked down. "The loan," he said. "I could not keep up the payments. After I lost my job, everything became too heavy. The bank took the apartment. And now, they are coming for this house too." My breath caught. "This house?" I whispered. "The one we are sitting in now?" He nodded slowly. "They say if we don't pay the remaining amount in a short time, they will take it," he said. "Legally, it is in my name." Legally. I gave it as security. I thought I could manage. I thought I would always have a good job, good salary, strong position. I did not see how fast life can turn. He began to cry again. "I am sorry, Mama," he choked. "I was blind. I was arrogant. I used your trust like a tool. I thought money would always protect me. I did not think of Allah, of halal and haram, of barakah. Now everything is falling on my head." I sat very still. The room was quiet except for his sobs and the distant sound of a neighbor's television. Inside me, a storm was raging. This was the same son who once spoke of putting me in a home for old people. The same son who had signed papers without explaining them fully, using my house, the house I had built with my sweat, as a safety net for his ambitions. Now he was the one without a net, falling fast. For a brief second, a dark thought passed through my mind. "This is your lesson," I heard a whisper. "This is your karma," but I pushed it away. "I am not the judge," I told myself. "I am just a mother who asked Allah to remove me from between him and his creation." I took a deep breath. "What do you want from me now?" I asked. Not harshly, but directly. He wiped his face with his hands. "I don't know," he said, sounding lost. "I have no job, no house, no wife, no children near me. I am staying with a friend for now. I came here because when the world closes on you, you look for the person who first opened her arms to you. You look for your mother." He looked at me with eyes full of regret. "I know I hurt you," he whispered. "I know I failed you. I know I used you. If you told me now, 'Get out, you are not my son,' I would deserve it." My chest ached. I thought of that night in his apartment, when I had sat in that small room and removed my constant dua from over his head. I wondered if this was the result. Omar, I said slowly, choosing my words with care, do you remember what our Prophet, peace be upon him, taught us? He said that the dua of a parent for or against their child is powerful. For many years, I only made dua for you. Even when you hurt me, I protected you with my tongue. I asked Allah to cover your mistakes, to open your doors, to make your life easy. He nodded, ashamed. Then one night, I continued, my voice shaking slightly, after hearing you and your wife speaking about me like I was a problem to solve, I could no longer say those words. I did not curse you. I was too afraid of Allah to do that. But I told Allah, I step aside. You deal with them as you see best. He swallowed hard. Since that night, he admitted, everything began to go wrong. Little by little at first, then like a flood. It was as if a roof had been taken off my head. I looked into his eyes. Maybe, I said softly, Allah loved you enough to remove the comfort that was making you blind. Maybe he wanted you to taste a little of the fear and humiliation that you made me taste so you could understand. This is not punishment only. It can also be mercy if it wakes you up. His lips trembled. Mama, he whispered, do you hate me? My heart squeezed. No, I said firmly. I do not hate you. I am hurt, but I am your mother. A true mother's heart breaks, but it does not turn to stone. I will not say, serves you right. That is not my way. But I will not go back to the old way either, where I close my eyes to everything and carry all the weight alone. He nodded, tears spilling again. What should I do? He asked, like a small child seeking guidance. First, go back to Allah, I said. Make real tawbah, not just for the bank and the money, but for how you treated people, me, your brother, your sister, even your wife. Pride is a disease. Beg Allah to cure you. He listened, hanging on my words. Second, I continued, accept that this fall from high to low is from Allah's wisdom. Do not try to climb quickly in the same wrong ways. If you must start again, start from halal and from honesty, even if it is small. Better a small, clean income than a large, dirty one. He nodded again. And third, I said more quietly, understand that this house may no longer be ours. If Allah writes that it will go, then let it go. I have learned to detach my heart from walls. You must do the same. His eyes widened. But Mama, where will you go? He asked. I smiled, a tired but real smile. Wherever Allah wants, I replied. Do you think I am afraid now? After all these years, I have slept hungry and full, in houses and in hospital rooms. I will not live forever anyway. If I die on a rented bed or on my own floor, it will not matter. What matters is the state of my heart when I meet him. We sat in silence for a while. Then he did something he had not done since he was a little boy. He slid from the sofa onto the floor and placed his head on my lap. I froze for a second, then slowly put my wrinkled hand on his hair. I am sorry, Mama. He sobbed. Forgive me. Make dua for me again. I feel naked without it. My eyes filled with tears. In that moment, I understood something deep. It is not that my dua controls destiny. Allah is the only one who controls it, but He honors the pain and sincerity of a parent. When a mother raises her hands, broken and honest, the doors of the sky open in a way we cannot see. I had stepped aside before. Now I felt Allah opening a small door in my heart again. I will make dua for you, I said softly. But not like before. Before, I used to say, Ya Allah, give him success, money, status, respect. Now I will say only, Ya Allah, Give him iman. Give him a heart that fears you and loves you. Give him rizq that is halal and enough, not rizq that feeds his ego. And if hardship is what he needs to stay close to you, then give him hardship with patience, not ease with arrogance. He nodded, pressing his face harder into my lap, his tears wetting my dress. Later, after he left, the house felt different, still old, still cracked, but full of something new, truth. Our masks had dropped. Our hearts had faced each other honestly for the first time in many years. Not long after Omar's visit, the karma of my other son came knocking too. It was a hot afternoon. The fan above me turned slowly, stirring the warm air. I was dozing in a chair when the phone rang. "Assalamu alaikum, Mama," came a tired voice. It was Yasin. "Wa alaikum as-salam, my son," I replied. "How are you? You sound strange." There was a silence. "Mama, I am at the airport," he said. "They deported me." My heart dropped. "What happened?" I asked, my hand gripping the arm of the chair. His words came out in broken pieces. He had left his stable job for a better opportunity with some men who promised quick money. It was not fully legal. When things went wrong, those men disappeared. The authorities caught Yasin and a few others. There was an investigation, some days in detention, humiliation, fear. In the end, they sent him back with nothing, his name blacklisted in that country. "I am arriving tonight," he said, "but I have nowhere to go. Can I come home?" "Home," I repeated quietly. "The home that you helped risk for quick money?" He was silent, ashamed. "Yes," he said at last, his voice breaking. "I was greedy, Mama. I put you in danger for my dreams. Now those dreams are broken. Please, forgive me." Tears filled my eyes. The same pattern, the same fall from pride to begging. "You are my son," I said. "Come, we will see what Allah writes for us." When he arrived, he was thinner, his face older, his eyes dulled. The confident boy who always wanted to be his own boss was gone. In his place was a man who had tasted the bitter side of life. He hugged me tightly at the door, his body shaking. "They shouted at me like I was an animal," he whispered. "They pushed me, searched me, treated me like nothing, all because I wanted easy money. I forgot everything you taught me." We talked for hours. He slept that night on the floor of the living room, like in his childhood, a blanket pulled up to his chin. Only now, there was no noise of siblings around him, no father's loud snore from the next room, only the hum of the fridge and my whispered dicker. In the weeks that followed, Yasin looked for work everywhere. Doors were closed on him. "Too old," some employers said. "Your record from the Gulf worries us," others hinted. He did small jobs here and there, but nothing stable. He grew more humble, more quiet. Sometimes he would sit next to me in the evenings, just like when he was young, peeling potatoes without being asked. "Mama," he said one night, his eyes on his hands, "do you remember when I told you I would be rich and you would rest? Now look at me. You, with your pain and old age, are still carrying me." I placed my hand on his. "Maybe this is not your time to give," I said. "Maybe it is still your time to learn." He nodded, tears in his eyes. "And what about the house?" he asked softly. "Omar told me about the loan. I made you sign those papers without thinking. I used your love as a tool. Now we might lose everything." I looked around at the walls, the ceiling, the old window. "If Allah wants these bricks to leave our hands, they will leave," I said. "What he does not want will stay." I have learned to put my security not in walls, but in the one who holds the walls up. He sighed deeply. "You are stronger than us all," he said. "We thought we were smart, modern, educated. But we are the ones who fell. You, with your old prayer mat and your broken hip, are the ones still standing." I smiled sadly. "It is not me," I said. "It is the one who holds me." As for Layla, her test came in a different way. Her husband lost his job when the factory where he worked closed. They struggled to pay rent. His family, who had once been warm, began to make small, sharp comments. "Your mother-in-law has a house," they would say. "Why doesn't she help you more? Why are you always poor? What kind of family did you marry into?" Layla would cry when she came to see me. "Mama, I feel squeezed from all sides," she said. "My husband is stressed, my in-laws are harsh, my brothers are drowning in their own problems. I don't know where to stand." I held her hand. "You stand where you have always stood," I said. "On the prayer mat, on the side of truth. Speak kindly but firmly when necessary. Do not let anyone put poison between you and me. And do not wait for your brothers to save you. Wait for Allah." She nodded, wiping her tears. In the end, the house did go. One day, the same well-dressed man came again, this time with final papers. "I am sorry, Auntie," he said, not unkindly. "The process is complete. The property now belongs to the bank. You have some weeks to move." I thanked him politely, my voice steady, and closed the door. I stood in the middle of the house and slowly turned in a circle, looking at everything for perhaps the last time. The window where I used to watch for my children coming back from school. The corner where my husband once coughed until his face turned red. The spot on the wall where Layla had measured her height with a pencil. All these memories, I thought, and yet none of them are written in the legal papers. The law sees only numbers, not tears. I called my children. There was shock, anger, guilt. "Mama, we will protest. Mama, we will talk to a lawyer. Mama, we will not let them do this." But in the end, there was nothing to be done. The papers were signed years ago. The time for questions had passed. Layla cried the most. "Where will you go?" she sobbed, holding on to me. I stroked her hair. "To where I should have gone a long time ago," I said softly. "To the shade of Allah. Maybe he wanted to free my heart from this place before he calls me to leave this world." Through some kind neighbors and the help of the mosque community, we found a small room for rent near the masjid. It was on the ground floor, easy for my hip. The rent was low. The room had just enough space for a bed, a small cupboard, and my prayer mat in the corner. Many would see it as a fall from owning a home to renting a single room. For me, it felt like moving from noise to silence, from confusion to clarity. I took with me only what I needed: a few clothes, my Quran, my prayer mat, a small kettle to make tea. The rest I gave away. When I lay on that narrow bed the first night, listening to the faint echo of recitation from the mosque, I felt something surprising: gratitude. "Alhamdulillah," I whispered. "I have a roof. I have breath. I have my iman. I have a Lord who never left me, even when his creation did." In the months that followed, my life became very simple. I would wake for Fajr, pray, read some Quran, then rest. Sometimes I would cook a little in the shared kitchen. Sometimes I would sit outside in the small alley, feeling the sun on my face, watching children play. The neighborhood children became my new family. They would run past my door and peep in. "Auntie, what are you cooking? Auntie, can you tell us a story? Auntie, make dua for us. Our exam is tomorrow." I would smile and invite them to sit, if their mothers allowed. I told them stories of the prophets, of patience, of kindness to parents. I watched their faces as they listened, their eyes wide, their hearts still soft and open. Some women from the mosque began to visit me too. They would bring me food sometimes, or help with cleaning. I felt shy at first, being the one who received help instead of giving it. But then I remembered, today I am weak, tomorrow it will be them. Life turns. As for my children, they came in their own broken ways. Omar found a small halal job in a modest office. The salary was nothing like before, but his eyes looked different, softer, more humble. He visited me often now, sometimes with small gifts, dates, a new scarf, a warm cardigan for winter. "Mama, it is not much," he would say, almost ashamed. "It is not about how much," I would reply. "It is about how clean." Sarah sent me a message once, through Layla. "Tell Auntie I am sorry," she wrote. "I was harsh. I judged her." Now my own parents are tired of my complaints. They say I married with my eyes open and must face my choices. I feel alone. Ask her to make dua for me. I closed my eyes when Layla read those words. "I forgive her," I said. "May Allah guide her. May He make her see that respect is not in clothes or houses, but in how we treat the ones who raised us." Yasin, after many tries, found steady work as a guard in a small warehouse. The pay was low, but he came home every night with honest tiredness, not the fake excitement of dangerous schemes. Once, he sat with me, his uniform still on, and said quietly, "Mama, do you remember when I said I wanted to be my own boss? Now my boss is a clock on the wall and a gate I lock and unlock. But somehow, I feel more at ease. Maybe some people are not meant for the high places. Maybe we are safer closer to the ground." I smiled. "Some fall from heights and break their bones," I said. "Better to walk slowly on flat land." One day, in a moment I will never forget, all three of my children were in my small room together. We sat close, knees almost touching. The room smelled of tea and old books. Outside, the call to Maghrib filled the air. "Omar," I said, looking at him, "what did you learn from all of this?" He looked down at his hands. "I learned that a house built on pride and haram money will not stand," he said. "I learned that the respect I chased was fake. The ones who praised me when I was rich disappeared, when I fell. Only you remained, Mama, even after everything I did." "Yasin?" I asked, turning to him. He sighed. "I learned that easy money is like smoke," he said. "It looks big, but when you try to hold it, it disappears. I learned that using a mother's love to reach my dreams is a curse, not a blessing. And I learned that a bed on the floor near you feels safer than any fancy room far from your dua." "And you, Layla?" I asked gently. She wiped a tear. "I learned that staying silent when wrong is happening is also a kind of wrong," she said. "I wanted peace between everyone, so I did not speak when they put the house in Omar's name, when they ignored your pain. Now I know that real peace comes from justice, not from hiding the truth." I nodded slowly. "I am not a scholar," I said. "I am just an old woman who has seen how Allah writes stories. Sometimes He lets people climb high, not because He is honoring them, but because He is giving to them rope. They can either pull themselves up in gratitude or hang themselves with their own arrogance." They listened quietly. "I made a dangerous dua that night," I continued. "I asked Allah to no longer protect you from the results of your actions. You saw what happened, not because I cursed you, but because He is just. That karma you feel is only His way of teaching." I looked at each of them, one by one. "But I have also seen His mercy," I said. "He did not break you completely. He let you taste just enough pain to come back. He could have taken your health, your mind, your lives. But He left you room to repent. Do not waste that room." They nodded, tears falling silently. Now, as I sit here, telling you this story into a simple microphone for Voices of Fatima. My hands are older than ever. The skin is thin, the veins like rivers on a dried map. My hip still hurts when I move too fast. My eyes are weaker. But my heart is calmer. I do not own a house anymore. The rooms where my children took their first steps now belong to strangers. If I pass by that neighborhood, I do not look up. I leave those memories in Allah's hands. My children are not perfect now. They still make mistakes. They still forget to call sometimes. They still argue with each other. Life did not suddenly become a sweet film after their hardships, but there is more respect in their voices when they speak to me. There is more awareness in their eyes. There is more humility in their shoulders. I do not sit on my prayer mat and list their names with the same desperate tone I once had. I do not cling to them in my dua like a drowning person clings to a piece of wood. I have learned to cling to Allah instead. Now my dua is simpler. Ya Allah, if my children are good for my deen and theirs, keep them close. If their hearts ever become a test that pulls me away from you, then you know best how to arrange distance. I love them, but I love you more. Some of you may hear this story and feel afraid. You may think, if even a mother's love can turn into pain like this, who can we trust? If our own children can become our test, what hope is there for us? But I want you to take a different lesson. Children, if you are listening to me, remember this. The person who fed you when you knew only how to cry, the person who stayed awake when you slept, the person who wore old clothes so you could have new ones, that person's dua is no small thing. If you hurt them, if you humiliate them, if you throw their sacrifices back in their faces, do not be surprised if life turns on you in ways you never expected. It is not magic. It is not some strange force. It is simply Allah's justice walking toward you at its own speed. Do not wait for the karma of losing your job, your house, your health, your marriage to wake up. Wake up now. Call your mother. Visit your father. Say, thank you, before the mouth that fed you is covered with white cloth in a grave. And parents, if you are listening to me, do not rush to curse your children in anger. Do not say, may Allah break you as you broke me. Our tongues are dangerous when our hearts are burning. If you are hurt, do what I did, but do it with wisdom. Tell Allah your story. He already knows, but tell him anyway. Cry to him, complain to him, then say, Ya Allah, I leave their matter to you. Do what is just, guide them if you will. Teach them in the way you know is best. Remove from my heart the poison of hate, and replace it with patience and clear eyes. You are not asked to stay in a place where you are abused, insulted, or used. Islam does not tell you to be a carpet for people to wipe their feet on. You can move away, like I moved. You can set limits. You can say no. You can protect your dignity. But do not let your pain turn you into someone who forgets Allah's mercy. Sometimes, the biggest freedom is not leaving a house, but leaving a false hope. I had to lose my house, my security, my dreams of an easy old age to finally understand this. Nothing in this dunya is truly mine. Not my husband, not my children, not even my own body. Everything came from Allah and will return to Him. Maybe Allah wanted me to lose everything so I could finally find peace in Him. When I sit on my prayer mat now, in my small rented room, the sound of children playing outside and the call to prayer in my ears, I feel something I chased for years without knowing its name. It is not the peace of a big house, or famous children, or a heavy bank account. It is the peace of surrender. So I raise my old hands and I say, Ya Allah, thank you for every succeeding door you closed in my face if it brought me closer to your door. Thank you for every tear that washed my eyes so I could see your wisdom. Thank you for every heartbreak that broke my attachment to this world. And for my children, Ya Allah, do with them what you know is best. If you give them success, do not let them forget the lessons of their fall. If you give them difficulty, do not let them forget your mercy. Make them people who remember the mother who once cried for them at night, and make them parents who never let their own parents sleep with a broken heart. To you who are listening now, wherever you are, I will leave you with some questions. If your mother is alive, when was the last time you sat with her without looking at your phone, without rushing, without annoyance? Do you know what her favorite food is? Her favorite surah? The story that still makes her eyes fill with tears? If your father is alive, when was the last time you asked him how he feels, not just how much he can give you? And if your parents have already returned to Allah, what is the dua you make for them every day? Or did you forget, busy with your own children, your own life, your own tests? Tell me in the comments below. Have you seen someone who hurt their parents and later tasted a strange, painful karma in their own life? Or are you that son or daughter who woke up before it was too late? If my story touched your heart in any way, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe it will stop a harsh word from leaving a child's mouth. Maybe it will put a phone in someone's hand to call their mother tonight. And if you want to hear more real voices, more hearts like mine, please follow Voices of Fatima, like this video, and stay with us. We are old, but our stories are not. May Allah soften all our hearts, forgive our past, protect our futures, and let our last breath be on La ilaha illa Allah. Ameen.